Future-proofing your workforce is so critical. How many mistakes are too many mistakes? What is in it for that person if the person improves, right? Always focus and prep. You can now prompt an AI system to give you customized learning paths based on individual needs. What AI really aids you so much is in thinking fast.
Welcome to ValueMatrixTV, where we decode the science and poetry of HR with the help of experts who live and breathe it every day. My name is Ajay Singh, and our expert of the day is Priya Baptista, with 19 years of experience in the HR industry, a learning and development leader. Priya, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Ajay, and thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Nice to have you. So, as a learning and development expert and having such a vast experience in the industry, so what has been your experience with the AI powered customized training for employees? As we see that customized training has made ingress in the workforce. So what has been your experience on ground?
I believe with the help of AI, we are really able to customize to a great extent because now it is very, very role based. It's very need based. You can now prompt an AI system to give you customized learning paths based on individual needs. So, just for a matter of fact, you're able to upload a performance review, conversation and developmental inputs, and then you get customized learning paths and courses attached to it. So I believe customizations are largely possible and effective. This of course reviewed with of course, like we all say, AI has to be reviewed as well, right? A supervised learning of sorts, right? Path that is created with the help of AI and L&D experts will really be able to change the game. And I also believe with AI, the fastness of processes have happened so much, right, over a period of time. So you're able to deliver very fast. So I feel it should largely be capitalized for that.
So with the shelf life of skills rapidly shrinking, how do you prioritize which skills to invest in and which skills to ignore in the current landscape?
Yeah, so very good question, and largely really doing away with a lot of traditional learning systems where we would really focus so much on concept based learning to now move to application based learning, right? And also future proofing your workforce is so critical. And one skill that is probably a non-negotiable in today's day and time is AI enablement and AI literacy. And how much are you able to enable your workforce in multiple ways of effectively using AI? So this could be access to AI tools. It could be AI in your workforce. This means how am I now going to be able to use AI in my day-to-day job to reduce grunt work, right? It is also through AI showcases. So you can really build forums within the organization where people are now coming up and saying, this is how I use AI in my day-to-day job. And maybe some other people get influenced by it. So a lot of community-based, intervention and skill building will really work. And the last part is the AI literacy, which is what's under the hood. How does it work? How does tokenization work for that matter? The other skill, again, with new age teams that you must build is the skill of psychological safety, and especially with people managers and leadership, right? Where your team feels comfortable in sharing ideas, admitting mistakes, and also asking questions without the fear of being judged. And last but not the least, the skill of having ownership and accountability, right? So iterating that as many times as possible. So while you're creating a space of psychological safety where people are admitting mistakes, how many mistakes are too many mistakes? And when do we hold them accountable and responsible, right? So setting clear expectations and ownership. So a lot of work there will ensure that your organization is a performance driven organization, right? And also very forward looking organization.
So as you rightly said, there has to be some boundary around how many mistakes one is allowed to commit. So leading to my next question, how do you strike a balance between reskilling employees for current challenges and equipping them for future challenges, especially with AI at the intersection? So how do you juggle between both these pressures as a talent leader?
Yeah, so I feel like a reskilling is largely for everything that is a non-negotiable for the organization. And with that, you need to really follow the traditional methods of reskilling, which is through refresher training programs, refresher assessments, right? So that always remains at the core of it all. That said, this coupled with a lot of new skills that people want to adapt to, and this could also be what is coming as a business need to you, right, is very important. So reviewing your employee engagement results, reviewing your performance review outputs becomes so critical, and that then gives you an understanding of what are the skills that you really want to kind of work with in that part of the quarter of the or the year. That said, I believe today there are so many innovative ways that you can engage using AI, and so much, right? So today, even if we talk about just feedback post program, it's you don't really have to wait. So today, when I do an online program, in the middle of the session, and I know if there's a breakout room, I simply ask AI, how am I doing, right? And it actually gives me feedback, and it's sometimes very brutal to me also, and tells me, hey, where do I course correct? Like today, even like if you do demos, right, as a salesperson, you don't really have to wait. Your prompts are right in front of you while you're doing a live demo to your customer. So I largely feel that new skills built very, very critical. At the same time, reskilling has to be a part of your BAU, calendarized programs, right? But don't forget to innovate is what I would say.
So, since AI has begun to even aid decision making, as you are in the leadership role, so what has been your experience when it comes to using AI for decision making? Do you think that it can actually replace some of the human capabilities and human qualities of decision making, or do you still believe it is a long way to go?
So there are two parts to this, Ajay. So as a part of leadership and the decisions that you make as a leader, there's a lot of context switching that happens. And I was very recently having this conversation in one of our training forums where we said that context switching for a leader is BAU now. It has to be natural. And what AI really aids you so much is in thinking fast, because today you can use an AI tool to literally think fast and make your decisions faster. You now have choices. So I feel that it only leverages everything that you are able to perform and perform at speed, in my opinion. I also feel that yes, while so many processes take over, AI is only helping us getting things delivered faster. Whether it is building a learning intervention, because research is faster now. You upload a document, you don't have to sit and read the entire document. You now get an output. Of course, everything is supervised, everything is reviewed. But what I mean to say is that things that really don't need that much of effort is now really half timed for us, right? So rather than being shy or shying away, I believe that there is still so much space, because your ability to deliver it becomes much larger. And I feel that can't be replaced, right? Because the human angle will always stay,
Yeah.
supervision will also always stay, because the reliability of what we really get an output still needs to be supervised. But again, an enabler is how I see it.
So, what are some of the common mistakes you have seen organizations make when it comes to learning and development initiatives, especially in light of AI? So, what has been your experience?
So while I have been interacting in organizations, yes, there has been a lot of adaptability of AI tools, which I'm also seeing, which is excellent, right? So, leveraging on AI for reducing grunt work, time to research, time to create content, uh, you know, uh, even push out a lot of work that today is done through AI. What I believe one mistake organizations still would make is over indexing on content and under indexing for application of any training program, right? And I believe like there's so much focus on content still, which is very traditional way of looking, but not its application. So literally, it could be two concepts in a learning intervention that you're using, but the retention will only happen when they are able to apply it in their job roles, right? And that I feel is one big mistake that L&D initiatives would still kind of go wrong. So I believe that having shorter programs focused concepts which they can then go and apply in their day-to-day job is critical. Also, I believe one mistake or other, something that would really aid it, is to set the right expectations and the outcomes you're expecting at the end of the program from the participants at the start of the intervention becomes very critical, right? Because that then sets the right mindset. Because otherwise training intervention will be like another 2
Yeah.
day off site of sorts,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of people say that, like, you still have that misconception about training interventions, which you really want to break, because it's solely about learning. It's solely about
Yeah.
how will you apply what you learn eventually.
You rightfully said expectation management and cutting short the duration of the trainings. These are the two takeaways from your answer. Wonderfully said. Moving on, how do you measure the real impact of learning programs, and what metrics do you use? I mean, do you go by the hard data, or there is more to it, like intuition or your lived experience?
And again, beautiful question there. So I believe that the real impact of a training is always what happens after the program. And when I
Yeah.
say after the program, it's not immediately after the program. Okay, it's not the Kirkpatrick level one that we do where, hey, everyone's feeling great after the program. Well, of course, it's an important aspect. You do it as hygiene. But if you ask me, what I look for most, or my favorite section in that immediate feedback, is to look for the constructive feedback of what is it that I should improve. That section immediately after the program, when you ask, it really helps you to improve the program. So largely that aspect, right? Apart from that, what really will move or show the true measure of effectiveness of the program is the number of live action plans that have actually gone online, and projects implemented effectively for the change that has happened post the program. And how do you measure that? Also, linking learning to business or behavioral metrics. Has there been a change in the individual after the program? Example, post the training, you want to really track, and this could be probably a leadership effectiveness program, right? You track the team attrition, you track performance of the team. Has that changed? Also, effectiveness scores of manager feedbacks, right? Eventually, pre and post program. Those become the true measure of effectiveness for any learning intervention.
Very well said, Priya. So you spoke about feedback and more specifically positive feedback. So this next question weaves perfectly into this topic. So what role does feedback play in accelerating learning? As you said, it is very important. But when we speak about accelerating learning, what specific role does it play, and how do you personally approach criticism if you have to, give a constructive feedback to somebody?
So, what role feedback plays? I believe feedback itself today in it, is so accelerated. You don't really have to wait. We spoke about this, right? So, which is beautiful because now you're able to get immediate feedback and real time feedback, right? So, and feedback then, I feel like in any business context, should become the norm. So, after every program, am I asking for on ground feedback? Now, talking about criticism, I believe you can only build a strong program with a lot of criticism. And my way, and probably, and it's a process, right? Like, it's not just a one time, hey, I'll go and give tough feedback and it'll be accepted. It's difficult, right? So, also want to build that connect first with the individual and building that trust that, hey, this feedback is really going to help you and this is really going to elevate you. So how you give that constructive feedback will be the game changer. I always believe before any of my constructive feedback conversations that I personally also do, I always prep for it. I go with data. I also take the next steps. Very basic concepts of feedback giving is something that if you follow, you'll be able to. But for me, the foundation is how do I show the big picture? What is in it for the individual? Takes precedence.
So, how to align the feedback with the objectives of the organization, basically.
Yeah, and also for the individual, Ajay. For example, what is in it for that person if the person improves, right? Or if the person really puts this into practice. Make it more about the person and not about, hey, I feel so about you. But I believe if you do this, then this is how you'll improve.
It's gold at the end of the rainbow, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very well put, Priya. So, if you had to redesign L&D from scratch today, especially with the backdrop of AI, what would you like to do differently?
So I feel we are already redesigning L&D processes so much, right? Everything from content to really focusing on application and building capability. So I feel a lot of, because the new age team and new age learning now demands on the go learning pathways. So things that are really popular today are literally learning loops where people are focused on, learning a concept, going and being able to apply it in your day to day job, getting feedback on it, implementing those feedback, and then repeating the process, right? So learning loops is something that we are really building as a part of learning interventions. Apart from that, coaching leaders especially, right, becomes again critical. The other innovative aspects we really want to or really bring into our systems and has worked well for us is real world simulations, live problem solving, right? These are the things that will really motivate the new age teams to come for learning
Right.
program, right? So role based learning, scenario based learning, can we prep them before for the conflict that they are now going to face with the customer before they actually face it? So a lot of role based scenarios. What is also working with the new age teams today is a lot of socially driven learning cohorts, peer learning, right? A lot of creator style content, right? Today everyone's also checking, hey, what is the rating of the trainer before they actually take the training, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of credibility today is on fast learning. So I feel like this has been one big shift for us, and also ability to adapt through it. I feel like there's so much that we can already adapt in our systems.
So that brings an end to a wonderful, insightful conversation with Priya Baptista. Priya, thank you so much for your valuable time.
I appreciate this time, and thanks, Ajay. I really enjoyed doing this.
Thank you. Well, viewers and listeners who are passionate about modernizing HR, building better teams, you can head over to ValueMatrix TV for more such conversations. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel on social platforms. Thank you for listening to us today at ValueMatrix TV, where we unravel the world of HR as it develops. Goodbye.